So here is what our Naviance CCLR, or College Career and Life Readiness Framework, is based off of. Obviously, we're trying to empower students to make more informed decisions about life beyond graduation. And with our software, we believe that students can absolutely do that. We have built the software off of these 6 competencies: social emotional learning, interpersonal skills, academic skills, career knowledge, college knowledge, and transition skills. And all 6 of those skills are kind of built off of a basis of digital literacy, goal setting, and financial literacy, built all into our Naviance software. So first, we will go through Naviance Student. And again, Naviance Student and Naviance Parent look very, very similar. The only thing is that the students obviously have more functionality because it is their profile than the parent side. The parents can see everything that the student is doing in Naviance. They just don't have the same function as far as like taking assessments and adding things to their profile, but we'll kind of go through that in just a little bit. So here is how you log in, and I've created this little slide here to kind of show you the different options that there are. As a parent and guardian, I want you to look here on the right-hand side. You will log into Naviance using a link that I will send you via the Naviance website. It will come straight to your email. And when you click that link, it's going to take you to a box that looks like this. You want to make sure that you don't try to type your email. You don't try to type your password. You go all the way down here to the very bottom and you click, I'm new, I need to register. That is where you are going to put your registration code here in this box. You'll copy the registration code. It will say, here is your registration code. Copy that registration code, paste it into this box, hit register, and that's when you'll be able to add your email and your name and your new password, whatever you want to make it, and then hit sign into Naviance. Once you sign into Naviance, any other time that you want to log in, you will come to this page, you'll put in your email and put in your password. The registration code is just for the first time you log in. Once you log in and create your account, after that, you're always going to put in that email and that password here. If you forget your password, not a problem. Just hit forgot password and it will take you through a password reset. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope that it does. And then obviously the students have been logging in, so they should have an account here. They have been logging in this way, and so that is really not prevalent to the presentation. It's just kind of the parent and the registration code here on this side. Once the student logs into Naviance, this is what it looks like. You have all of your different career and college exploration stuff available here on the home page of the profile. The student assessments are available in the self-discovery tab. Career exploration is obviously available underneath careers. College exploration is available underneath colleges. The resume, journal, surveys, and any other pertinent or important information that your students might have to access are available in the About Me tab. We also have this box here, which is called the welcome message. And typically schools will use this for important information that they want their students to see right away. Since this is when the students log in, this is the first thing that they see. This is probably going to be some of the most important information that your student needs to read. So definitely have your student check that box out as soon as they log in. And then over here on the right-hand side, you'll see a couple of different options. You'll see colleges I'm thinking about, colleges I'm applying to, careers and clusters I'm thinking about, and scholarships and money. Now, colleges I'm applying to is a little bit more prevalent to juniors and seniors, but I like to introduce it now because this is what it will look like. When your student gets to become a junior, a senior, they start applying to colleges, this little tab will pop up in this box. Essentially for your 7th grader though, if they're doing college and career exploration, this is where their favorites list is going to be. Let's say they do a career self-discovery assessment and they find out that they want to be a teacher. They can actually favorite that career, and then they can access it here to do a little bit more research on what the career is about, what that career makes as far as monetary value in your state, in different states, and we'll run through that in just a little bit as well. As you scroll down further down the page, there's a what's new box, which is kind of an announcement section where schools and counselors can type in important information and it will pop up here. and as well as important events, those that will pop up here as well. And then important to-dos and tasks are actually tasks that are built into Naviance that are assigned to your student, and they are different for each grade level. We have different assessments signed out for different grade levels and different activities signed out for different grade levels. So your students will see a list here of important tasks and to-dos, and if they click this, it will actually take them to a planner, which will have their entire list of to-dos that they have been assigned in Naviance. As you scroll further down the page, you'll see down here at the very bottom, there's a document resources tab. If your school ever has an important resource that they need you to access, they will link it here in the document resources. There's also a links from my school where your school can put important links like links to the FAFSA. That's a really good one that a lot of schools will use. Or if there's another website that your students will be relying heavily on throughout the school year when it comes to college and career, they can link that here at the bottom. They can also create custom HTML pages, which you'll see here in the middle. And in those HTML pages, they can put information, videos, pictures. So this is always a nice place to check out any important information that your school might have. And then obviously there's an update section as well where your school can send out little updates about what's going on in the Naviance world. If you were to navigate back to the top of the page, you'll find the self-discovery section. That's where we have all of our different self-discovery assessments. And these are all assigned to different grade levels in the school district, and different grade levels will take different self-discovery assessments. For example, the AchieveWorks Intelligences, this helps you uncover your different intelligences and how to leverage them. My favorite assessment that we have is the learning and productivity assessment. In this assessment, it actually tells you what your best learning style and learning environment is. So it will ask you a bunch of questions about how you prefer to study, and then it will pop out an answer for you at the very end of this assessment saying, okay, your best study habits will be when it's dark and you like it to be quiet and you like to be in a traditional school setting. It tells you the different ways that you learn the best. So that's why that one is my favorite. We have 6 different ones here. And they are all super, super great for college and career search. When we go up to the careers tab, that was at the very top of the page, you will be able to explore different careers and different career clusters. Clusters and pathways are just big groups of different careers. So if your student takes the cluster self-discovery assessment, they can find out that they might be into agriculture as the cluster. And then they can explore different jobs in the agriculture cluster and really get down into the nitty-gritty of which career they might be interested in. Once they've decided, okay, I'm really interested in being an actor, they can actually favorite that career, and it will populate in the favorite careers and clusters list. So if your student were to click this, a list will populate of all the different careers that they are interested in. And it's just an easier way to access all of those different careers that they might be interested in. Underneath the colleges tab, that's where we have my favorite feature in the entirety of Naviance. I was a school counselor before this, and this was my favorite feature, hands down, the college SuperMatch search. You can actually put in all of the criteria that you as the parent or you as the student want to have in your college, and it will find the fit that you want. So if I went in and I was looking for a college in San Diego that's bigger than 50,000 and it had all of the things that I wanted, it would populate a list saying San Diego State at the very top of the page. I only say that because that's where I went to school. But it's a super awesome way to start out your college search in the direction that your student might be interested in going. And then once they've discovered, oh, San Diego State might be a college I'm interested in, they can click that heart again and add it to that colleges I'm thinking about list. And it's just an easier way for the student to access the list of colleges that they may be interested in applying to. And then when they get further down the line in 11th and 12th grade, they can actually transfer those colleges from the colleges I'm thinking about list to the colleges I'm applying to list. So it just makes it a little bit easier for the student to track their college applications throughout college search and then into the actual college application year as a high schooler. Here's a little snapshot of that SuperMatch college search that I kind of talked about a second ago. These are just some of the criteria that you can put in. If you were to click location, it would pop up, you could do it by state, you can do it by region. So like Midwest, West, South, Northeast. Academics, you can put in your GPA and populate colleges that work best for your GPA. Admission size, student life, if there's sororities, fraternities, there's so many different options really for all the different criteria. It's endless to be able to mix and match and put in different criteria to be able to find a college that is exactly what you want it to be. And then it will pop out a score for you at the very end. So let's say San Diego State has all of my criteria. It's going to say 100% this is a match for you. Let's say UCLA, it's not in San Diego, but it's close enough. It's in LA. So that's going to say it's an 80% match because it doesn't have all of my criteria. It only has 80% of what I'm looking for. Again, here's that college application tracking I was talking about when your students get into high school a little bit later. And then here's what that comprehensive list of college applications looks like. Here, you know, I have just favorited a couple of them. UC Davis, UCSD, UC Santa Barbara. It tells you the deadline, all of this information. I know which really isn't prevalent to your 7th graders now, but it's nice to start thinking about, you know, what are the deadlines? What will I need when I get to college application season? So that way you're a little bit more prepared when you get there. And then finally, we do have scholarship searches in Naviance. I always recommend that students start searching for colleges as early as college scholarships as early as 6th grade, because there is money out there for 6th graders, believe it or not, for college. They earn it now, they put it in a bank account, and they save it for when they go to college. So students can check out the National Scholarship Search, which is an actual database that is compiled by Sally Mae. And so it's nationwide scholarships. You, again, similar to the SuperMatch, you put in your criteria and then you're able to kind of sift through and see which scholarships you may be interested in applying for. Finally, the last tab at the very top is going to be your planner, which is where your student is going to find all of the tasks that are assigned to them. I always like to mention this last because this is where your student is going to go to first. This is where they're going to find out what they need to do in Naviance in order to complete the tasks that they've been assigned. They'll go up here to the planner, scroll down to tasks, and then hit the tasks assigned to me button. Once they do that, it will populate a list that looks like, this. Here I have an overdue task. I can tell it's overdue because it's screaming at me in the face. That is overdue. You need to complete that ASAP. The tasks that I've completed are on the right-hand side, and then you'll see at the very bottom, you see the list of the tasks that I need to work on that aren't due yet, but will be due very soon. So this is a great way to get your students engaged in Naviance, have them go to the tasks assigned to me, see what they need to complete, and really get started in their college and career search and start adding stuff to those favorites lists. Finally, in the very top right-hand corner, there is the About Me section. This just has some things about your student that they can access. And there's some surveys. If your school ever tells you that there's a survey that they need your student to fill out, it will be accessible here in the surveys portion. So here are the surveys from the school. The graduation survey is really only for high school seniors, but the game plan survey is a similar one. I do not believe that the district is utilizing it right now, but in the future potentially could. So I just want you to know that it's here and it is accessible in case you do ever need to reach it. And that is the end of the presentation. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log into Naviance Student. Hopefully it's not going to kick me out. It might. Yeah, I knew it. Dang it. Okay, hold on one sec and let me log myself back in here. And we will kind of get going. And I can show you all the things in real time, kind of that I just talked about in the presentation very quickly. And then we can get to all the questions that you might have. So this is my fake high school that I created here in Arlington, Virginia. But essentially, All of the Naviance portals look pretty much exactly the same, and the parent side looks exactly the same. The parents do have the same functionality that the students have, but rather than being able to go to the career cluster finder and start the assessment and complete the actual assessment, the parents will only be able to see the results of the student's assessment. So that way you can log in, see what your student has been up to, see how your student learned best, what careers they found, what they might be interested in. You also do have the ability to come into the careers, find out what your students' favorite careers and clusters are. So I have a pathway here for journalism and broadcasting. I have a career for adult basic education. So you as a parent can come in here and see this and say, oh, look, my student is interested in performing arts. How can I best support that? You can also come in here and look at your colleges I'm thinking about list for your student. And then obviously the same thing with the careers. And then on the home page, again, you can access the colleges I'm thinking about list, the careers I'm thinking about list there as well. All right, that is pretty much the presentation that I have for today as far as how to use Naviance. Does anybody have any questions about the functionality of Naviance? Anything that I didn't touch on that you have questions about?
So guys, feel free to unmute or put it in the chat for us.
And if you don't, that's okay too. I'll just take that as I did a really good job.
Let me say this again. Dr. McGarry could not join us this evening. He has a prior engagement with one of his children. He's at one of the athletic events. But I also want to say that we have Ed Brown, our president of the school board here. We have our supervisor, who's our director, who's over counseling, which is counselors, which is Wendy Elgert. We also have another board member, Don Fields, who's here. And I also want to welcome one of the principals of our middle schools, Dr. Brian Erstone. So I see that President Brown has his hand up. Go right ahead, President.
Mr. Brown, I think you're muted.
Okay, this is my first time using Zoom, so I'm really sorry.
Oh,
good. When you showed the screen where it listed the colleges, there was a column called type, and it said RD. What does that stand for?
Let me go to that list and then I can show you. Was it here or was it in the PowerPoint?
It wasn't here. I guess
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Let me pull the PowerPoint back up and then I can. Okay, so RD here would be the decision type. So some colleges have different deadlines, which is confusing in itself. These three colleges are regular decision. That's how I, as the student, am applying. I'm applying regular decision. So you can see that here, regular decision. That's what RD means.
Okay.
There's like early decision. There's a bunch of different deadline types, and you can actually see what the deadline types are here. So for example, SUNY Buffalo State has rolling deadlines, so you can access that as well. And then it looks like Texas Southern University does a bunch of different ones. They have regular decision, spring, fall, summer sessions. So all of those deadlines are available here in Naviance. If you're ever confused about what an acronym means, check to see if there's a click down box. If there's an I, the I will also always tell you what the different things mean. So here, SUNY Buffalo State takes the Common Application. And I know that because the little CA means Common App. Sometimes it takes electronic, sometimes some schools, believe it or not, only take printed applications still. But that will always be available here in the application portal on the Naviance.
Thank you, Kayla.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions?
Hi, Kayla, this is Don Fields. I'll ask a question. And maybe it's better for, maybe it's more appropriate for Wendy. Will the district have I guess I'm curious what's pre-populated by the district, if anything, and what comes from Naviance. So what's like kind of standard for Naviance and what's going to come from the district? What should we expect, if anybody knows?
So whatever is signed out in Naviance, excuse me, has been curated by Wendy and I. So I just help Wendy create the plan in Naviance. Basically, the software is there so that way you can customize it to exactly what your district needs. I obviously, if Wendy was like, what's your opinion on something, I would, as a former counselor, kind of step in and be like, oh, well, we did this, and kind of give my 2 cents about what we used to do in the counseling office. But really everything that has been assigned out by Wendy and the district. They've all kind of talked about it. And Wendy, feel free to step in here if you have further information about it. But Wendy and I worked closely together to curate anything that you see in Naviance. It was all input from the district, not from PowerSchool.
Right. Based on using counselor feedback of what modules work best with students, and paying for different things with the Naviance contract. So
I want to say too, this is really something else. So I work for a software company. One of our products is SuccessFactors. SuccessFactors is basically HR software it has what you need for recruiting and for onboarding and for ongoing learning and for succession. And it's all these kind of HR tools to help someone with their career. And this really reminds me of that. I'm really kind of amazed. It's for all the tools you need for your career or college bound activities from high school to graduation. It's really kind of, it's just the first time I've had like a really deep look at this, and I'm really impressed. And I guess for any parents that are listening, this is the kind of thing that if your child goes out, my wife works at a hospital, University of Pennsylvania, and they use SuccessFactors. They use software like this to kind of plan their development and things like that. And our kids who go out to careers with larger companies and stuff, they'll be working with stuff like this. So this is really kind of neat to see.
Absolutely. I love the software. And that's one of the reasons that I kind of made the jump from the counseling office into Naviance by PowerSchool, because I really truly believe in it. And I've used it in the counseling office, and I truly believe it can change lives, hands down. I think Mr. Brown has another question potentially. His hand is raised, but I'm not sure.
Yes, I just wanted to piggyback on what my vice president, Don Field, said. Naviance, I appreciate the evolution of it. I remember when we first brought it to the district, and it was a different tool. I mean, it was a useful tool, but it has grown so much. So this is my look at it, my current look at it, so I can appreciate where it was. And it wasn't always owned by PowerSchool. Is that correct?
That is correct. We were just acquired a year ago. Okay,
yeah, I remember when it was a separate entity. So yeah, I appreciate the maturity of the product and how comprehensive it is. And yeah, my daughter looks at it all the time. I have to find more time to explore in it. But yeah, thank you. I just wanted to mention that and piggyback on what Don said. Great tool. And this is what we'll be using as the blueprint for my daughter moving forward. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I want to encourage all the parents that are on here, get on your students' Naviance profile and really sit down with them and do a career search, do a college search, start getting interested in what there is to offer, because I really feel like the more the students are introduced to all the great things that are out there, the more they are interested in it. So it's a great tool for your students to start using now in 7th grade and all the way into senior year of high school.
I have a question.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Hi.
How are you, by the way?
I'm finding yourself. Hello, everyone. I'm like one of those parents that just signed up for all like the parent information because I like to know things and grow, and But I thought that this particular one was for 7th graders only, and my son will be in 7th grade in September. So is that when they'll have access to Naviance, or do they have access at the 6th grade level?
Well, I can actually answer that one. We actually use Naviance in grades 3 through 12. So your child would have access to it now, and you could email the counselor for the parent access.
Oh, okay. We'll do. I do have a 3rd grader as well. Okay. Thank you so much.
So we actually do have Dr. McGarry on the phone here. He's gotten caught in a storm, and he's also handling a serious incident that just happened. But Dan, you want to jump in and talk about your vision for tonight, why you wanted this for the parents?
Yeah, I think that last question, can you hear me, by the way?
We hear you.
Okay. That last question by that parent brings a smile to my face because our goal has been really to get as young as elementary school all the way through our middle school focused on that kindergarten conversation hopefully we all had when we were little kids, which is what do you want to be when you grow up? And now there's technology that will allow us to explore what that really looks like, what potential incomes could look like, what's the career path, how do I get there, what's the cost potentially for me to get there as a student, meaning my higher education, whether it's requires a certification or 2 or 4 year degree. So this program that we brought to the school district really is meant to start young and start to really explore where do I want to be when I grow up in a much more sophisticated way. Also, and I'm sure that this is already discussed, I hear Wendy on the call, so I appreciate her joining. We set out to create a plan that by the time our middle school students leave to go to Upper Darby High School, they will have been exposed to at least 60 different careers through Naviance. And so the conversation starts with 7th going into 8th grade, and then really ideally 8th going into 9th grade, having a much better concept of the career path I want to take, and then start to set up the type of courses you want to take in high school, whether it's at our high school or dual enrollment, that would best set you up to meet that career or college path. And I just wanted to say that's why we're having these parent information sessions, is to really start to continue to educate our parents and our students on these great tools that we have and try to remove some barriers for you to gain access for your students. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of where we're trying to get to. It's that kindergarten conversation. Who do I want to be when I grow up, and how do I get there?
All right. Does anybody have any other questions about anything mentioned today?
This is really exciting stuff. I'm glad I participated.
I'm glad you did as well.
Yep, great job. A lot of good information. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And
I agree.
if there are any questions that come through, feel free to shoot them to Wendy. Wendy can shoot them over to me, and I could answer them as best as possible. But yes, like I said earlier, I encourage everybody to jump on, go to the careers section, explore different careers that are in here. Check out, if I click on actor, I can see what is an overview of an actor. What is a median national salary? What do they do? If I go down here, there's an interactive map that tells me what the average wage is across the United States by salary, or you can actually do it by hour as well underneath the wages tab. You can change it to hourly so you can see what the hourly rate is. But it's just a really great tool to start planning for the future for your students.
Yeah, I just want to say on behalf of Dr. McGarry and the School Board of Directors, just thank you, Kayla and Wendy, for taking the lead and offering this information to our parents for another parent information night. And as I said earlier, when we first started, before we started recording, we have 13,000 families, and we really want everyone to know what resources we have in the district. Sometimes we'll hear, we'll hear questions about things like this. And we're like, what, we want people to know that this resource actually exists. So the best way to do that is by word of mouth from parents, parent to parent. This information will be on our YouTube, a recording of this session. So tell the parents it's there for them to access. And of course, you have Wendy as a support, you have your counselors in the buildings as a support. But none of that matters if the information is sitting here and you guys aren't talking about it. It is a resource. It's just one of many to assist kids with college and career readiness, but we need parents to tell people about the amazing kinds of resources that our district has. So I really don't think a lot of parents are aware that this sort of resource actually exists for our kids. So Kayla, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna follow your lead. You let me know when we can transition out. I guess we can open it up one more time for any parents or participants who
Any
would like
last
to ask
questions that want to come through? But other than that, I've pretty much completed my presentation. If there are any questions, I can answer them. But if not, again, if you are searching and you come up with something, please feel free to email your counselor. And if it's a question they can't ask, they can give it to Wendy and Wendy can send it over to me.